We'll bring up the first PowerPoint, please. Thank you. And then you're just going to hit the arrow button to go through the slides.
Okay.
All right, clap it up one more time. Let's see if we can- Now you just do view, I think. It's your first time on Google Slides? Slideshow. I think. There you go.
Perfect.
Let me just test this for you. Perfect. All right.
Okay. Do I have to hold it or can
One
we?
more time. Clap it up. There you go. There you go.
All right. Well, I did want to say thank you to Eric for having me here. I'm actually a pretty shy person, so I don't really public speak, but I'm really excited for this opportunity and to share some things with you that hopefully can help you build your business and in your journey as well. So a little bit about myself. I started in real estate in 2015. I actually, the first year I was kind of by myself, and then I ended up joining a team. I really liked being part of a team. It really taught me a lot, and it helped me grow. I did go off on my own, and I did well. I didn't do bad, but I noticed that I missed that support. So I really missed having, people to lean on. I missed working with people and, all of us having the same goal and stuff, which is when I joined OverSouth, and luckily we have opened up our brokerages, and now we have 3 offices, so I'm super happy here, and I couldn't be happier about it. Buyers has always become, it's almost become my specialty. That's how I started off my business. I think that for me, it was easier in a way to connect with buyers. Sometimes when you're on listing presentations and stuff, you have to showcase yourself and kind of sell yourself, where buyers, for me, was a little bit easier to connect in that way. And then throughout the years, I've just been recommended, so buyers has always been like 90 to 95% of my business. I'm also the mother of 2 beautiful children. They are my absolute world, and I don't know where I would be without them. They have really helped me and helped me grow as a person, and also pushed me to want to do better and stuff. And then what I used to grow my business, when I first started, I didn't have like a sphere or family that was buying or anything. So I truly built my business off doing Zillow, getting lead sources from the team I was on, kind of sending mailers out. That's how I originally built, and fortunately enough, I still do those things, but I've also grown in my referral business. So just because you don't, have like a sphere or family that's selling, don't think that you can't also grow and build it that way as well. And then I put my contact info in case anyone has any questions. So what do you need when you're first meeting a client? What documents are important? Your buyer agency is important, the agency agreement. You want to, show your buyer that you're representing them. You, as well as the fair housing disclosure. Those are both New York State forms that we need. And then your buyer broker contract. So there's an exclusive and a limited. Those are the 3 documents that you'll need at first point of contact. And then once you're ready to present an offer, you would do a sales agreement and a pre-approval. Then another thing that I wanted to speak about with those documents, you can either get them signed when you're meeting at the, at the listing that you're showing, but a lot of people have also done, and what I used to do too, is the buyer consults. So the buyer consults are great because they kind of put you in front of the buyer. It kind of breaks the ice. You get to introduce yourself, you get to meet them, so it's not just at the property, What I usually include in my buyer consults, they're meant to kind of go over what the process is going to look like, what their needs are, what their wants are. Ask them if they're pre-approved. I've also had Eric and some of his members of his team either hop on a call or sit down with us and go over, the pre-approval and what that means and why it's important. Some of the things of why it's important is because you want to make sure that your client knows what they can afford, so that they're not looking over their budget and they're not looking under their budget. So the pre-approval is a super important aspect that maybe you might not be comfortable talking about in like the first listing, but if you do a buyer consult, that's a perfect opportunity to do that. So that's kind of what like the business aspect of it is as far as the buyer consults, but another important aspect is kind of introducing yourself. So what I've learned is that people want to work with people that they feel some type of like connection to. They don't want to work with like a robot. This is why we're still in business in this industry, is because you want that like connection with somebody. So I think you should definitely like introduce yourself, your accomplishments, the experience that you have, some personal details about your life, your children, your pets, your hobbies. Do you like to travel? Find any type of maybe like connection, or put that out there that somebody might say, oh, hey, I've been there too. Or, oh, wow, you have kids, how old are they? I have them too. Things like that. If you speak other languages, maybe it would be helpful. Maybe they don't know that you speak the same, first language that they do. So I think something like that would be helpful as well. Basically, any type of connection that you can make towards them. Especially if you're a new agent, I would lean on your company for their stats, for their sales, showcase why you're there and why you guys do the business that you do. You can also lean on your your reviews. So in my buyer presentation, I like to put my reviews in there, testimonials from other clients. I also give them a link to, like my Zillow or my Google page that has my reviews. And then your past sales. People like to see that. I personally print out like a little packet, and I have it in email version too that I could send to them, but I like to print it out and have them just look at it as we're speaking as well. And then I put an example of like what we have also. This is like something that's included, so it's kind of like a little roadmap as to what the buying process looks like. Something like that can be really helpful, and you can go over the stages and stuff like that too. So I find it a lot easier to navigate that way and to kind of set the expectations of what this process is going to be like. I also like to tell them ahead of time that there is a possibility that we'll run into, hiccups, because not everything is always as smooth as possible, but know that I'm here to help you throughout that. I'm here, and me and my team and my knowledge and my experience of my company, if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely find it out. So I think to reassure them that you're there with their best interest at heart really builds that connection as well. So ways that you can help search, right? I do Matrix now, which took a little bit of time to get used to because we were all used to the MLS, but Matrix has auto emails. I've set up my clients on auto emails. I also have a CRM. You can use like Bold Trail, Follow Up Was. There's a bunch of them out there. It makes it easier for you to kind of keep track and, always be in their face in a way, but not overwhelming. I also put myself on like a Zillow or a homes.com search for certain properties. That way I get an alert and I could just send it over as well. You definitely want to show your value. You don't want to depend on clients just sending you properties all the time, because then what are you showing them? What value are you giving them that makes you stand out as the agent to go to instead of another agent? I do tell there are some buyers out there that just love searching through Zillow. I don't know. I think it's like a fascination with some people that just love going through homes and stuff like that. So I tell them, no problem, make sure, just send it over to me. Don't click on ads and stuff. Send it over to me if you like a listing, and I'll look into it. I also like to not prioritize buyers, but kind of organize them into an A, B, and C category. So when you're working 1 or 2 buyers, it's not a crazy amount. You can kind of keep it in your head and kind of go over, you know, like what your schedule looks like and stuff like that. But when you're working 5+ buyers, that's a lot. That's a lot to handle at a time. So you need systems on like how to keep everything organized. And I do an ABC system where C is like those nurture ones that are not, you know, exactly ready, but are pre-approved and maybe ready to go. But the A ones are the ones that are like, we want to go out on a weekly basis, we're ready to move and stuff. And you can kind of time manage that way. Don't, you know, forget about the C ones, because those are going to turn into A ones. That's the ultimate goal, is to turn that C buyer into an A buyer. Sorry, I have to look at my notes, guys. The next one would be presenting an offer. So when you present an offer, you want to lay out your terms. You want to make sure that your terms are as clear as possible, that you're exactly saying like, what's the down payment? What is the offering price? Are you doing an inspection? Do you have any appraisal contingencies? Showcase the strength of your buyer. So if your buyer has like an excellent credit score, say that. You know, anything that can strengthen your offer and make your buyers look like the obvious choice to go to, put it in there. Try to, you know, connect with the agent in that way as well. Work with a preferred team. Showcase that team as much as possible. So for instance, when I make an offer, you CC your lender. If Eric's the lender and he's gonna go over there and he's gonna see it that he CC'd on it, he's gonna reach out to the agent too, you know, and that's only gonna make your offer stand that more out, because you're being proactive. Your team is being proactive. So that's something important that I like to do with my offers as well. And then I also like to present myself as an agent that is not going to be problematic, that is not going to cause issues. I obviously am looking out for the best interest of my buyer, but I want to make sure that this goes smooth, and I will do everything in my power. So I even include that at the end of my offer presentations. I say something like, if it's an agent I haven't worked with, I know we haven't worked together yet, but I can promise you that I will make this as smooth as possible, and it'll be no issues on our side. So now you have an accepted offer. What do? Accepted offers are really hard in this market. It's such a seller's market that when you get that accepted offer, you have to move as fast as possible. So you want to be able to prep your buyers that like, hey, if this gets accepted, guys, we got to schedule the inspection right away. We have to have our attorney picked out. We basically want to put everything together to get into contract. In New York State, you don't go to contract first before doing your inspection. So all that time period gives the rights for your buyers or for the seller to back out. So you do want to move quickly. One thing I forgot to say that I like to include in my offers is I like to include like if I have an inspection already planned or something like that. So like a tentative time. So prep your buyers about that also, that you could have an accepted offer. For instance, yesterday we got an accepted offer and we actually did the inspection this morning, which I couldn't be at, but you just have to move quickly. So hopefully contracts will get set out and then we'll be able to sign by tomorrow, and who knows, maybe the seller will sign tomorrow or he'll sign Monday, but at least it shows that you're actively moving, and that's what I'm sure agents can, like listing agents can appreciate when somebody moves quickly. Your documents, you're gonna need the deal sheet, sales agreement, pre-approval, any surveys, COs, lead paint. You wanna have that at the ready too. So you wanna be able to hand off a deal sheet to the attorney and make sure that they know everything. I know Pamela from Suris, I'm sure that you appreciate when they give you a deal sheet, you know who's gonna be on the other side, you know that you can, reach out to them and request contracts. All of that, having your team prep everything and be ready only makes you look that much stronger. make sure it's neatly, make sure that you're including everything. And then one thing that I like to do is even before the inspection is done, once it's accepted, I always ask for the other attorney on the file. Only because sometimes you know, if the other agent on the other side is not as proactive or is not communicating as much, or you feel like something funny is going on, then at least you have the other attorney who's supposed to be on it, and you could have your attorney reach out and try to communicate that way too. So that's just a little tip that I like to do. So client relationships. How do I keep in touch with my clients? So I'm a big texter. I like to text people, but I do also know that making phone calls is really important. I think that it kind of personalizes it a little bit when you call somebody and just, you know, ask them how they're doing, catch up. People seem to like that a lot. I do the emails and through my CRM, a drip campaign. It's impossible when you have, you know, like a 50 leads in your CRM or 100 leads for you to call not impossible, but it's time consuming to call everyone. So having that, like a good CRM that has set up drip campaigns and stuff, kind of just keeps you there where they're seeing your stuff, and then you follow up with a phone call maybe like once a month or a text once a month just to let them know that you're thinking of them. Another thing that I like to do is for Thanksgiving, I deliver pies. It was a big thing in our office with these like tons of pies that we had delivered. I think the company in Setauket where I could email it out or something, but I would order pies and then I would send them out to clients that have referred me and also the current clients that I'm working with that year. So I would hand deliver them, or I'd have like an assistant or someone be able to hand deliver them for me. And this is like some examples. So the any way you slice it, that I would put on my pies. And then the other thing I do is like a Christmas or a holiday card. People like to see connections. People like to see how you're doing. They want to feel a bond. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. So for my Christmas cards or my holiday cards, I send out you know, me and my children and then something written on the back. I also do a little gift card. So for everyone, I do like a $10 to $15 Starbucks gift card, and then people who have referred me, I do an American Express gift card. I know that may seem a lot, but it's really not when you think about even if one of those people that you've sent something to, like let's say you spent $2,000 doing all this. If one of the people that you sent one of those cards to refers you, you've already made your money back. That transaction has already paid for itself. So I think it's a big thing in our industry that we have to learn to continue to invest in yourself, continue to invest in your business. If you truly, like let's say you really don't have it, you can't send out, you know, any gift cards at this time, it's not in the budget, it's not possible, then send a handwritten card. I think that people appreciate that. A nice handwritten card just to let them know that you're thinking of them, I think really goes a long way. So objection handling. I know that we get, on both sides of the industry, we get a lot of objections. So I just kind of put a couple of them that might come up or that you might have seen, some that I have seen. So especially in this market where things keep rising above, and you know, sometimes you see numbers, and if you've been in the industry 5+ years, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the house is worth that much. So other buyers and clients also see that too. They see prices from the past and prices now. So one of the objections is like price is too high. What I like to do in that case, and what you should do for every home that you know your clients want to make an offer on, is do the research. Show the comparables. Show in black and white what the appraiser is going to look at. Show what has sold. Make sure that you know, not only does it show your value as an agent, it also shows that you know the market, that you're on top of it. You know how many days things lasted, what's a hot, you know, house, what it's going to go for, and you can best advise your clients on what they should offer. I like to also tell them like, hey, I think this is what I think the house, you're safe at appraisal. This is where I think that offers are going to come in. And this is where you might be the outlier and you might be the offer that gets it. You also have to take into consideration what terms your buyers have. If your terms, are an FHA 3.5%, you're competing against some conventional loans that are leaving 20%. The way to combat that is that you have to almost come up in price. You can't expect to be low in price and compete with somebody with such strong terms. So that's one of the things that I like to, say to them. Then we've also run into, or at least I've run into, I don't want to raise my offer. We all, have been in situations where you submit an offer, it's a great offer, it's not a bad offer, but the listing agent comes back and says best and final. We're giving everyone a best and final. So now you have to come back to your client and you have to say, okay, they come back to us, now we got to do our best and final. Some people might say, I don't want to raise my offer, raising it $5,000, $10,000, I don't know what that's going to do. How I get over that situation is that with any objection, I try to let them know that I understand them. I hear where you're coming from and then give my reasoning. So as far as purchase price and raising your offer, if they're raising it $10,000, that's only about $50 on your monthly payment. So I try to get them to look at it as a monthly payment instead of dollar amounts. Because to the seller, it's actual dollar amounts. They're actually getting $10,000 more for their house. But for your client who's doing a mortgage, it's your monthly payment amount. So you can tell them, like, hey, raising it up 10, I think would put us in a more competitive place. It would raise your payment about $50. Do you love the house? Yes, I love the house. Would you be willing to pay $50 more a month for it to live there? Most of the time they'll say, you know what, I never really thought about that. Yes, I love the house. Let's increase our offer. So that's like kind of a thing that I like to say as well. Friends and family in the business. That's a tough one because a lot of people, like if they have strong bonds with their family and stuff, that can be kind of tricky to overcome. So what I like to say is, I completely understand your situation and I understand that that's your family and you want to be loyal to your family and I respect that. I don't want to come in between that. What I do want to tell you is that I know that this is also one of the biggest, investments of your life. And you want an experienced agent and somebody who does this full time over and over again to kind of help guide you, to kind of help let you know if this financial decision makes sense, if this is the right home. And that's not afraid to go against you and tell you when, it doesn't make sense. So I think that that's something that you could tell them. And then at the end say, I would love if you gave me the time that I can, show you how I can help you. I can show you how I work. I can show you what I can do for you to assist you. And then if not, then they keep going with their family. But I think knowing that they have an option and stuff, and knowing that you can provide a benefit to them that might be more valuable than just using a family member is a big thing also. And then the last one that I'm guessing people have heard, because I've heard it too, is I'll have better luck working with the listing agent. People assume that their offers are going to be accepted if they go direct with the listing agent. Where if it's your listing, this objection handling wouldn't benefit you. But what I like to tell them is that, yes, the listing agent, you have to understand, is representing the seller. They're looking out for the best interest of the seller. Could there be dual agency where they could help you also? Maybe, but it's not, their loyalties are not strictly to you. Whereas a buyer's agent, your loyalty is to your buyer. You're in charge of helping your buyer. You are looking out for their best interest. During the inspection, even though we try to tell them not to be nitpicky on certain inspection things, there are real concerns in inspections. There are sometimes where there's big ticket items that you do need to overcome. A listing agent might not say yeah, this is a big deal, but you as a buyer's agent, that's your job to know, what? This could be an issue. Why don't we get a professional to come look at it and handle it that way? And then also be there for them. I know that we all get excited when we get accepted offers and, you know, something comes up on the inspection and you're like, oh man, like I don't want to kill this deal. Like this deal took forever to get together. You know, I've been working with them for a while, but don't forget, you're the buyer's agent. You have to be there for them and help and listen to them. And if it's a concern to them, then tackle that concern. Don't be afraid to negotiate on behalf of your buyer for these like big items that might be an issue. Because if you don't and you like convince them to buy the house and this later becomes a bigger issue, they're gonna look back at you and that's gonna leave a bad taste in their mouth for you, and that's, you know, your reputation as well. If they are happy with their experience and they feel like you saved them from a situation and you found them something else, they'll recommend you to everyone. So that recommendations and that referral business is a lot more important to me, and it should be important to everyone instead of just that one transaction. But back to working with the listing agent, you want somebody to be completely in your corner. So you don't want somebody to have loyalties towards the seller and loyalties to the buyer. They want somebody that's right there with them, that's going through it with them, and that their loyalty is to you, not halfway. So my ending notes. It's a big thing that we say, and I actually learned from my broker, Sean, is to be a human. We have to, you know, this is a business and everything, but there's no need to be cutthroat in a way. Just be natural. Understand that we're all human beings. We all have good days and bad days. We all have, you know, mostly families or friends and stuff. Like, be a human and be respectful towards each other. I think that that's a big thing that sometimes we don't go over as much. Another thing is that I like to say, and in our office we say, is become a black belt ninja. So once you become a buyer black belt ninja, you kind of know what the buyers want. You know, when you come to a point that you can speak to a client, understand what they're looking for, and then be able to look in Matrix and find the client what they want and know this, you know, this one isn't going to work because this says this, and I know that you don't want that. Is that something that's still important to you, or do you want to change? Once you master the buyers, the listings is all so much easier, because now you're going on a listing, you know what the buyers want, you know what they're looking for, you know how to market it, you know so much that actually in turns helps you with the listing into marketing it, into bringing that audience in, because you've become such a master at knowing what the buyers are looking for. Also, invest in yourself. This is your business. You have to do things to invest in yourself. Sometimes you got to spend a little money to make money. So it's important. Take the classes, take the Matrix Classic, go to things like this, learn from people in success and try to follow what they do. I think surround yourself with like-minded people that want to do better, that want to do great, that really care about what they're doing in this industry, and learn off them. Also, don't burn bridges with industry professionals. So I have seen on both sides, especially when it's tough on the buyer's end to get an accepted and you've been putting in offers and there's 10 plus offers, don't tell the listing, if they don't accept your offer, and I don't know why people do this, but don't go off on the listing agent. That does no good for anybody. It's not good.
I disagree.
No, don't go off on them. Be courteous, be kind. I've had a ton of deals that maybe I wasn't the first choice and I didn't win it in that moment. And a couple days later, it came back to me. It didn't even go back to everyone else to submit their best and final. It came back to me because I was kind. And the agent told me, well, you were really respectful. You weren't upset. You didn't press. You know, try to be kind and show like, hey, like I get it, but if something doesn't work out with it, please let me know. You know, like we're here. I like to follow up until I see it go pending. So I'll follow up and I'll be like, hey, how'd it go? Is there any chance? Even after it's pending, if it's in contract for a while, I've followed up on deals. And I've had deals where they were like, you know what, actually it looks a little shaky. I think that we're gonna drop it out of contract. And before it goes on MLS, they gave it to me. So always follow up. Follow up is such a huge thing in this industry on both sides, but following up is the key to the game. And also don't burn bridges, because you never know when you're gonna see that agent on another deal. And now they have this bad taste in their mouth because you were not nice. There are some times where you have to be aggressive, but choose those times carefully. And then this is my last slide. So I kind of just wanted to give everyone a little bit of motivation and remind them that you can do this, you can make it in this industry. I know that sometimes real estate can be very difficult, especially if you're working with buyers. It's not only like a mental wear on you, it can be physical. You're showing, you're driving, you're still trying to schedule your life around the buyer's life and their availability and stuff. So it can be hard, but just try to keep in the back of your head that you're fulfilling this dream of home ownership for your client. You're a part of their story now, and they're gonna remember you, and they're gonna thank you, and helping them complete their dreams, whether it's an investment property, whether it's a home for them to live and be with their family, like you're helping accomplish that. And I think that that's something super important to remember why we're doing this, Balancing personal life and business life. It's tough. It's tough to balance that, especially if you have children or you have somebody that you're taking care of. It's hard to balance it because you're getting pulled in so many directions. So just make sure that you have support around you, whether it's your family, whether you're on a team, whether it's your company. Make sure that you feel supported. For me, I felt like I was slacking, and I knew that I needed more support than what I was receiving at home. If you ever need help with anything, I think that mental health is a really big thing. I know that I don't know some of you and stuff, but if you ever need a shoulder to lean on or some support or advice, that's what we're here to do. I believe that being kind to others and kind of putting that energy out there really comes back in full blessings, and everyone needs support. We all have bad days, and we all sometimes just need somebody to kind of give you that pick you up. So this slide is meant to just remind you that you can do it. This is a great industry to be in, and don't give up if you're having a hard day. Accept that you're having the hard day. Reach out for help if you need it, and then move on and be great. And that's it.
Thank you very much.